All right, seventh grade. So there are a few things that I'm going to have you do to help you get through this lesson. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to number your 6 kingdoms. So the first, Animalia, plant, fungus, protist, bacteria, and then your Archaeobacteria. So those are the 6 kingdoms, and we've talked about those at the beginning of the year. Of those 6 kingdoms, we need to look and see which of those kingdoms are multicellular, which are unicellular, and which can be both. We also need to go look to see if they are autotrophs or heterotrophs, or they could be both. And so I've sort of color-coded mine to help with this. So if you have map colors, go grab you some map colors. If you don't, then maybe shade with your pencil or something. So what I've done is I've shaded my 2 kingdoms that are multicellular yellow. So if you look up here, my 2 paragraphs that are referring to Kingdom Animalia and Plantae, I've shaded both of them yellow because both of those are multicellular. And then the only kingdoms that are completely unicellular are both of the bacteria kingdoms. So bacteria and Archaeobacteria. So I shaded those unicellular green. And then fungi and protist can be either one. They could be either multicellular or unicellular. So I took both of those paragraphs and I shaded those orange because they could be either one. All right, and then I kind of ran out of colors because I'm home and not at school. So I also went back and determined which of them are autotrophs, which means they make their own food through photosynthesizing. They're heterotrophs, which means they have to get their energy from something else, or they could be both. So if they were autotrophs, I went and circled it red. So plant kingdom, autotroph, circled it red. Then I went through if they are heterotrophs, which means they get their energy from something else, and circled blue. So animals such as we are heterotrophic. I circled blue. Fungi, they get their energy from other things. They are heterotrophic, circled it blue. All right, and then I went through and looked at things that were both either autotroph or heterotroph. They could be either one. And so I put a red cloud around them. So if you go to protist, kingdom protista, can be either heterotroph or autotroph. This is going to be important when you get to the next page of your questions. All right, so obviously you probably saw when you opened up your packet that the pages are in the wrong order. So I'm going to start on number 1 on page 53. So it starts with the first paragraph in classifying kingdoms. So when you're classifying, you have all of these different names. So there's 6 kingdoms, remember, and then each of those 6 kingdoms are broken down further and further and further and further until it gets more and more specific. So this is the largest, the kingdom that has tons and tons of different species in it. And then as you go down this list, it gets more and more specific. So number 1 asks you, which of these represents the largest group of animals? Well, it doesn't matter if it's animals or plants. You're going to go in this order from the largest: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family. So you're going to look at your answer choices over here, and you're going to find which one of these from largest to smallest that is in this list over here. So the first one we have is kingdom. We don't have a kingdom in our answer choices, so it can't be kingdom. So I'm just going to keep going down my list. I'm going to look for phylum. So if it's phylum, that's going to be the next largest group. All right, let's see. Number 2 is in paragraph 2, and again, I will post pictures of this after I post the video. Number 3 is asking you for something that has no nucleus. Which kingdoms have no nucleus and they're found in fresh water? And this is going to be in the bottom paragraph on the front page of the reading. Number 4, you're going to go back and look at your paragraph about decomposers. All right, this last one on the bottom of the page is asking you for this organism's specific name. So when we're talking about a scientific name, we're talking about these last 2 groups, genus and species. So everything has 2 names. Everything has a scientific name, a genus and a species, which we use to talk to other scientists about. So we're all calling an organism by the same name. So basically down here, you're trying to find the genus and the species, the scientific name of the snapping turtle. And again, you're looking for the genus and the species. So all you're going to do is you're going to come down here and find genus and species. So a snapping turtle scientific name, it has 2 names, the genus and the species, which is where this binomial nomenclature comes in, is going to be these 2 names. The name of the genus followed by the name of the species. All right, so I'm going to go to number 6, which is on the previous page because your teacher got their stuff mixed up. All right, so on number 6, it says 2 unknown species are discovered. To classify and identify them, biologists would most likely use what? So you're looking at which one of these answer choices would scientists look at to determine what kingdom or what scientific name to give whatever they found. So are they going to look at the skeletal structure, which is the shape of the bones? Are they going to look at if they are autotroph or heterotroph? Are they going to look at DNA similarities? Or they're going to look at behavior patterns? So it asks you which one of these is a scientist least likely to look at. So remember on that front page, all of those notes that we made and divided things into autotroph or heterotroph, multicellular or unicellular. Those are specific things that scientists are going to look for. And number 6 is asking you what is the least likely thing. All right, number 7. 2 organisms that are in the same order will be classified into the same what? So in just a second, we're going to look at this chart below here. But I want you to remember, things that are in the same phylum have to be in the same kingdom, because this is getting more and more specific as we go. Okay? So everything that's in the same phylum has to be in the same kingdom. Everything that's in the same class has to be in the same phylum. Everything in the same order has to be in the same class. Everything in the same family must be in the same order, and so on. So when you look at this chart right here, it asks you 2 organisms that are in the same order. So if I go down here to order, here's 2 organisms that are in the same order. So it asks you if they're in the same order, what else has to be the same? Well, if they're in the same order, carnivora here, then they also both have to be mammals. So that should help you with that. All right, number 8 is asking you to look at the chart on a wolf and a deer. So it's asking you basically, when do you notice the similarities and the differences between a wolf and a deer? So both a wolf and a deer are animals. They are both in the phylum Chordata, which means they have a spinal cord. That's what chordata means, is they have a spinal cord. They are both mammals. Now, here is where they start to be different. So, of course, a wolf is a carnivore, and obviously a deer is not. So that right there, through this part right here, is what's going to help you with number 8. Now, number 9 is really, really why that I color-coded all of that stuff on the front, because you're going to have to go through and give the characteristics of each of these 6 kingdoms. So basically you're putting the 6 kingdoms here, one of the 6 kingdoms. So you're going to go through and find all of the kingdom that are autotrophs. So if you color-coded with me on the front sheet, then that should be very easy to find. Again, if you color-coded like I did on the front, you're going to go through and tell me which of the kingdoms of the 6 are multicellular, which of those 6 are unicellular. All right, number 10 says that a scientist found a unicellular organism and he's trying to figure out what its scientific name is. So if he's trying to figure out what its scientific name is or what kingdom it belongs to, what can he do to figure out what kingdom that it belongs to? So remember that if it is unicellular, it cannot be an animal or a plant, because both plant and animals are unicellular. So what they're going to have to do is go look at characteristics of those other 4 kingdoms. So if they're looking at specific characteristics of those other 4 kingdoms, it's going to help them decide which kingdom that it goes into. But they should already immediately know that it cannot be a plant or an animal kingdom because it is unicellular. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and skip through 2 traits in heredity. Hopefully you listen to me read. All right, so what I did, and I'll go post pictures of this after, again, the video. So I've actually put on my paper what paragraph to find them in. You may also notice when I take pictures, and you can see it better when I'll take pictures close up, that some of these are color-coded. So if I put the question in yellow, then the answer is somewhere in the reading in yellow. If I put the question in orange, then you can find the answer to that question in orange. Same with yellow. All right, another thing that I wanted to remind you of is how to use a Punnett square. So this is number 12 is talking about watermelons. So they tell us in the reading that capital G, dominant is capital, remember, means it has a green skin. So a watermelon has a green skin, the capital G is dominant. If it has a lowercase g, that means the skin on the watermelon is striped, and that is going to be a recessive trait. So remember, anytime that you have a capital, which is dominant, it's going to hide the recessive, and you will not see it at all. The only time you're ever going to see a recessive trait is if the dominant is not there at all, and you have 2 recessive alleles for that particular trait. So it tells you in the reading that one of the parents here is heterozygous. Remember, hetero means different. So it means it has 1 dominant allele, 1 recessive allele. And then it tells you the other parent has the same genes, the same genotype. Heterozygous because they're different. Dominant because we have a capital and it's going to hide that recessive. So your Punnett square, you're going to put one parent's genotype across the top, the other parent's genotype are down the side, and then you're going to use it just like a multiplication chart. So I'm going to match up the top here, capital G, and then I'm going to write side, capital G. And then when I go here, I've got a lowercase g from the top, uppercase G from the side. Here again, I've got uppercase G. I'm going to bring it down to here, lowercase g from the side. And then here, lowercase g from the top, lowercase g from the side. Okay, so if you notice, each one of these, this one, and this one, they all have a dominant trait, which means it's going to hide the recessive if there's one there. So if you've got 2 dominant traits, that offspring is going to have the dominant gene, which we know from over here is green skin. This one has 1 dominant and 1 recessive. Well, the dominant is going to hide the recessive, So again, that watermelon is going to have green skin. Same here. My dominant is going to hide my recessive, green skin. This is the only place here that there is not a dominant present. So if there's not a dominant present, that is the only time a recessive gene is going to show up. So 1 out of 4, 1/4 of these offspring are going to be striped and not green skinned. So then you're going to take your fraction. So 3 out of 4 is obviously 75%. 1 out of 4 is striped, which is 25%. And then you're going to do the same thing down here to number 13. So number 13, you've got pea plants, and it tells you that your heterozygous dominant, capital Y, lowercase y, is yellow, and homozygous recessive is green. So I put this pea plant at the top, put my alleles here. I took this pea plant and I took those alleles and put them on the side. And you're going to do just like I showed you up here. So you're going to go top and side and write those 2 alleles here. Top, side, write both those alleles there. And you're going to do that for each one of them. And then you're going to have to write the fraction, how many out of 4, because there's 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, had that particular trait, and then change your fraction to a percent. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of this video. I'll post pictures later on. Again, look how mine is color-coded. That's going to be really helpful when you start working on those. Hope y'all are doing well. Let me know if you have any questions.